President Trump came out with, I don't know whether was it a tweet or some other communication.
It's probably a tweet.
But at any rate, he said that the Putin meeting may be the easiest yet. Ron, what say you?
Anytime that there's no one there to verify what was said, who said what, took notes or anything, it can be very easy. I'm down to the point where some days, if something serious happened, I would wonder whether it was a truth or not.
Ron,
and a lot of Americans feel the same.
The Chinese are listening. The British are listening. The Germans are listening. That room is going to be bugged even after it's swept. It's going to be bugged.
Everybody knows what's
Everyone's
going on.
going to know what's going on.
Except the American people.
Well, that could be the case if you say so.
Everybody but the American people.
You know, when you compare the audience that he's going to have with our NATO allies.
Our allies. I thought he was with our enemies.
Excuse me, Ron? Really?
Yeah, but allies.
Talking over me tonight.
Yes,
man,
on
I tell you.
this case. Yes.
Okay. You know, the warm reception that the mayor of the city of London has chosen to give him, and Putin, who is with Russia, who is our foe, and he's looking forward to talking to Putin. I mean, that's not saying much for the other people.
Ron, what say you?
I can't even answer what he just said. You know, you're kind of right. It's sad. This whole thing is sad.
You know, I've only seen little bits and blurbs regarding the NATO discussion, but I'm sure it's not going to be the smoothest event that is on his calendar this year.
After he says the pipeline from Germany to Russia, that the Germans are now dependent upon the Russians, is that a setup for something to give back to Putin for what?
I don't know that it's that, but I do know this, and this is my concern over this whole thing, is it seems like we're being friendlier with those that we had traditionally called our enemies than we are with those that have traditionally been called our friends.
Can you rerun that?
But I think there's the expectation of you know what you're going to get when you sit down with your foe. The Russians have already laid out their playbook. Whether it's Obama or Trump or any of the predecessors, we know what the Russian playbook was. So we know where we're going. But when we're dealing with our allies and we're saying, listen, we'd like for you to contribute the 2% that you were obligated to contribute. And they're reneging on fulfilling those promises.
Well, I'm going to have to talk over you again, Henry. He won 4% today. Today, he upped it from 2% to 4%.
I think the agreement says 2%.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take what the agreement is. He's now lobbying for 4, possibly. I haven't heard that. He's lobbying for 4 and hoping to get 2. He's a great negotiator.
He
that
is
a Trumpist move.
The art of
proud of him.
The art of the deal.
The art. Well, you know, you're right. He wants them to pay their fair share, but back here the budget's in a shambles.
Here's the problem.
finances in this country.
At least there's a budget compared to the last 8 years.
There is.
Compared to the last 8 years, at least we have some navigation.
Let's stay on the foreign piece of it, because I think your point is well taken, Ron, and I think that, again, from my perspective, I don't have any problem with him having friendly meetings with Putin or anyone else that is considered our foe. What I do have a problem with is him being so public and so vocal about what our allies are not doing, in his opinion, that they need to correct immediately. And that's where I have a problem, because the statement he made relative to Angela Merkel and the Russians, in my mind, cost us in the relationship with Germany. And I think it cost us in the relationship, frankly, with many members of the EU.
I totally agree with what you're saying, but we're allowing this to happen.
But Merkel's on tough ground right now. You know, she's
Theresa May.
Well, exactly. And what position is Trump doing? It's not exactly endorsing Theresa May nor endorsing Merkel for stability. He's kind of posturing to cause a little bit more upheaval in Germany and England. And you know, you can't meet with so and when you're in England, you're forbidden to do that. Really?
So he creates upheaval in the nation that he's the president of, and then goes around the world creating upheaval around the world. So the day of reckoning will come.
And will that day be in 2020, Ron, or before?
The day will come.
And you'll get the last word on that. Up next, Fast Five. Stay tuned.